Hello students. Today we are going to study a very basic concept of biology, that is cell, the unit of life. The topics that will be covered in this presentation would be what is a cell, discovery of a cell, cell theory, something more about cells, cells efficiency, cell shapes. As we all know that biology is a study of all living organisms present on the planet Earth. Now, if you can see in this picture, the living organisms shown in the picture, that's a horse and a plant, they are actually made up of smallest unit called as cell. So likewise, every organism that is present on the planet Earth, all the organisms are made up of tiny small units called as cells. So cell is defined as the structural and functional unit of life. Why we call it as structural unit? Because the entire structure of a living organism is made up of tiny units called as cells. And why we call it as a functional unit of life? Because whatever function a living organism is going to perform is actually performed by a cell. Now, these cells are so tiny that they are not visible through our naked eyes. Okay, and this led to the discovery of a microscope. So microscope is that instrument that helps us to see the small units or small specimens that are not visible through our naked eyes. So Antony van Leeuwenhoek was a scientist who designed a simple microscope with the help of a single lens. Okay, after the discovery of a simple microscope, it led to the discovery of a compound microscope, which was designed by a scientist called as Robert Hooke, who used two biconvex lenses in a compound microscope. So the microscope that we have in our laboratories is a better advanced version of a compound microscope that was designed by Robert Hooke. Then it led to the invention of an electron microscope, which further added to the unknown facts about the cells, the minute detailing present in a cell. Now, how that cell was discovered? Robert Hooke was once observing a cork slide under the microscope. Now, cork means the bark of the tree. So that portion or section was taken, the cork was taken and observed under the microscope. So what he observed was, he could just identify that the cork is made up of compartments which were totally empty. So it only had the cell wall but no detailing, nothing filled into the compartments. Okay, later it was identified that these are nothing but the dead cells. So this led to the invention that the organism is actually made up of small compartments or small units called as cells. Okay. Later, the scientists named as Sheldon and Schwann designed a cell theory which was shared amongst all the people of the world, all the scientists of the world, where the information was shared with everyone. The postulates of the cell theory are, first important thing, that the cell is the structural unit of life. Like I've just said, the entire organism is made up of tiny units called as cell. So whatever structure you can see for an organism is actually, the entire thing is made up of cells. The second postulate is cell is the functional unit of life, which means that whatever function a particular organism is performing or a particular organ of that organism is performing is actually done by the cell. Okay, so all these cells in a group work together, perform a particular function, and that is why we say that the cell is a functional unit of life. Now, third important postulate is all the cells arise from the pre-existing cells. Now, I've shown a picture over here where you can easily see that one cell has divided into two daughter cells. So these two newly formed cells have actually arisen from the already existing cell in the body. So this one cell, which was already existing in the body, after completing its own lifespan, has divided into two cells. So this is how actually the division of cells will take place in an organism. The fourth postulate of the cell theory is all the life starts from a single cell. means after the fertilization is done, when a zygote is formed, this one single cell that is zygote will divide into 2, 2 into 4, 4 into 8, 8 into 16, and later a cluster of cells would be formed. Okay, so this is the entire journey. The zygote would be formed, then an embryo would be formed, then a fetus, then a baby would be formed, an entire baby would be formed. Okay, but the entire living organism had initially started its life with a cell. So this is the actual case with all the living organism. Every living organism will start its own life with a single cell only. So till here, the scientists could identify that all living organisms were made up of cells. They could identify the detailing of cells. They designed the cell theory, which was shared with everybody. The next question that arose in their mind was, if every living organism was made up of cell, then how many cells are present in an organism's body? Then the scientists later divided the organisms into main 3 categories. The first set of organisms was said to be the unicellular organisms, which are made up of one single cell only. And the example of unicellular organisms is amoeba and bacteria. The second set of organisms were made up of few cells. They were neither single cell or not many cells present in the body, but few cells present in the body. Example is Spirogyra and Volvox. The third category of organisms were said to be multicellular organisms, where the entire body was made up of many cells. The example is human beings and mango. So it is said that larger the organism is, greater would be the number of cells, or more would be the number of cells in the body. Okay, so till here it was clear that how many cells are present in the body. The next invention was, if there are many cells, or if these are the number of cells present in the body, what would be the size of the cells, whether they are too large, whether they are too small. So again, it depends upon the organism. We have the smallest cells organism, or the organisms having the smallest cells, like bacteria. Okay, one more smallest cell in the body is RBC. The largest cell is the ostrich egg, and the longest cell is a nerve cell. So depending upon the size, again the 3 categories were made, that is the smallest, the longest, and the largest. After the size of the cells was discovered, then the scientists concluded that more the cell is small, better would be its efficiency to work. The conclusion was based upon 2 facts, 2 important things, that more the cell is small, it could communicate with its neighboring cells very easily. So the communication becomes more effective and more quick. Okay, and second important thing is, more the cell is small, its surface area to volume ratio will increase, and because of which the diffusion of substances or movement of substances in and out of cell becomes very easy. So more the cell is small, better is its efficiency to work. Now this I can explain you with the help of a diagram. If you can see a picture over here, there's a cube with side 2 mm and 6 surfaces. So the formula for total surface area is side square into 6. Okay, so if you take this cube, the bigger cube, into mind, we calculate the total surface area as 2 mm into 2 mm into 6 sides, and the surface area that is obtained is 24 square mm. Okay, so this is a cube which is larger in size, but we want to conclude, or we want to claim, that more the cell is small in size, better would be its efficiency to work. Now what we have done is, we have cut this cube into 8 equal or 8 small cubes. Okay, due to which the size has been reduced to 1 mm now. So the formula for total surface area becomes, again for the entire keeping in mind all the 8 cubes together, it becomes 1 mm into 1 mm into 6 sides, and just because we have 8 pieces, so the total surface area goes to 48 square mm. So if you can just see the difference between the two, the bigger cube had total surface area as 24 square mm, and the smaller one had 48 square mm. Okay, so here the surface area is increasing, because of which the diffusion of substances or movement of substances in and out of the cell becomes very, very easy. And more the cells are smaller in size, they easily communicate with their neighboring cells. So that is how the conclusion was: more the cells are small in size, better is the efficiency to work. The next concept that we are going to study about cell is the cell shape. The most important thing that you have to understand in this concept is the shape of the cell will actually define its function. In simple words, whatever shape the cell is going to have, depending upon that shape, it is going to perform its function. Like if you can see the picture of an RBC in the slide, this RBC is disc shape and they are biconcave. Okay, we all are aware that RBCs carry oxygen or deliver oxygen to every part of the body because they have a pigment called as hemoglobin in them. Okay, so just because RBCs have this kind of shape, they can easily pass through the minute or narrow capillaries and deliver the oxygen in every part of the body. Okay, the next we have a picture of a WBC, which is said to have a amoeboid shape. Amoeboid means irregular shape. Okay, now WBCs are the cells with the body which help us to kill the germs. Okay, so if there is any germ attack, what these WBCs do, they squeeze out of the capillary walls, kill the germs, and again re-enter into the bloodstream. Okay, that is the reason why they are irregular or amoeboid in shape, because of which they can easily squeeze out of the blood capillaries and again penetrate back inside. Okay, the third picture is of a nerve cell. Now nerve cells are said to be the cells which carry electrical impulses in the body. It may be from the brain to a particular part of the body or from a part of the body back to the brain, but then it has to carry impulses from distant parts of the body but within less period of time. So that is the reason why these cells are very, very long. They quickly carry the impulses from one part of the body to another part of the body, and hence they are said to be the longest cell of the body. Okay, so after observing these three pictures, the only basic concept behind is that whatever the shape of the cell will be, depending upon that shape of the cell will be its function. So in this lecture, in this presentation, we have seen the topics like what is the definition of a cell, that it is a structural and functional unit of life, how the cells were discovered, what is the cell theory. There are 4 postulates in it, that it is the structural unit of life, functional unit of life, cells arise from pre-existing cells, and every life starts with a single cell. The number of cells, the size of the cells. Okay, more the cells are small, better would be its efficiency to work. This I've already explained with the help of a cube. Then last we have studied the cell shape. I hope you have understood cell. Whatever queries you all have, you all can just let me know so that I can clear all your doubts. Thank you.